against Azion and Feed. It will be a great match as the pick and ban is starting. We had a nail-biter match happening beforehand. It was definitely quite something, and everything was just all over the place. But we're back-to-back action here, non-stop it is going. And I hope we're gonna see another 5-mapper here in this particular match. But also thank you so much for the warm introduction. It's been a very busy day, busy week for Trackmania. So many events happening, Thomas.
So much stuff happening indeed. And another thing that is currently happening is the picks and pick phase. We had already the first 3 maps locked in right out of the gates, just within the snaps of the finger, just like that. It will be China as a starter, Brazil as map 2, USA as map number 3, leaving the choice to clash between Greece and France. It will be Greece on map 4, and map 5 will be France as the decider. And BS Plus are trying to actually right the wrongs of their previous game, because whilst you saw Stutz and Letzter play against Foot Esport, there was also the match between the Glassed Worker duo as well as Flimsy and Cockney, and that was also another 5-game series with the win going the way of Onyx 3-2. Just giving you a quick rundown: 11-5 the first map for BS Plus, which was China; 11-5 the second map for Onyx, which was USA, funnily enough; third map 10-5 for BS Plus, which was, funnily enough, France. Then map 4 went the way of Onyx, 12-9, that was on Greece, leaving Brazil as a decider. Again, another thing that was in common with the Foot Orcless game that we just saw, and here Onyx managed to clinch it out on a 10-6 score. So a narrow loss that was conceded by BS Plus, who are looking to get back in their good books for what is essentially their second match in the whole season.
Yeah, and I mean, Onyx was certainly struggling yesterday on Brazil, so great that they found their way back in, because they were getting into the top match against Shift yesterday, which was a great match. But I think we have also seen just a very dominant performance from Team Shift. But let's just see how this match is panning out. I'm very much looking forward to see. Division 2 is always so fun to watch because every team can upset each other, but BS Plus need to find themselves onto the board here. But on the other hand, they play against the Tempobros, currently sitting on 4th position. I'm probably subject to change due to like other matches already took place, but they're 2-1, so it's not looking too bad for them. 7-5 in maps, so definitely a team that is quite somewhere in the midfield. But we're gonna start things off here on China, the first pick here in this particular match.
Yeah, and just to give you a bit of a rundown of the Tempobros matchup, they are 2-1. They won 3-0 against Vabene. They also lost 3-1 against Team Shift, and then we saw them a little bit earlier on this weekend take a narrow 3-2 win against Team Ragnarok. Melio, and Evan were playing their first match of the season, and I want to correct myself because I was expecting Worker to be the starter, but no, it's actually Snow and Glass. This is actually the Canon BS Plus duo that is actually taking part in this matchup and in this day of action, and this day of action continues for them as the second match is underway. And as the lights go from red to green, the field is let loose, and we are racing, Kai.
Yeah, very first round here, and yeah, good spot there because Worker was playing yesterday, if I recall that one correctly, and Snow and Glass both going for the bug slide here, as Snow's getting it nicely, but Feed also with a great line there. A lot of speed accumulated. Azion falling a bit further behind here, but it's a French matchup here all along between the teams. BS Plus versus Tempobros. Let's see who can win the first 3 maps the quickest, or just 3 maps the quickest, as Azion struggles to find good speed in this turn here. So this leaves Snow and Glass with a great start here. They can start things off with an ace, but Feed is also there to deal some damage. As you can see, he moves up into 2nd position, looking not so bad for him. And also Azion going for the attack onto Glass, who didn't really have a good sector there, but it's still everything to play for here in the ending. Snow with a comfortable lead of 0.3 of a second, but it's then half a second behind. We find Azion, who goes a bit over the Snow, so he will lose some time. Glass promoting up into 2nd, but Feed with a bit more speed. But this all comes down to the ending. Azion fails it again, and Glass will capitalize from a mistake from Feed, and it's indeed the ace for BS Plus. A beautiful start for the blue team.
And for those of you who didn't exactly catch it on the second turnaround, Feed went just a bit too deep on the booster and ended up with his rear wheels touching the snow patch that's behind the booster, effectively bringing his car to a stop and completely negating the advantage that you get in terms of speed by going super deep. And we see big troubles, big problems in terms of the bug slide execution for both BS Plus players. One messed up the setup, the other one didn't get the proper timing correctly, as we now are left with Azion and Feed looking to deal the counter ace almost immediately, take advantage of the situation, going onto the ice slide of checkpoint 4, getting a bit close to hitting the girder at the entry to that ice slide for Feed, but he makes it work just like that without any issue. clips the top of that girder right there in checkpoint 6. We've seen plenty of people do that over the course of not just Overdrive, but over the course of the competitive life cycle of this map. But Feed has enough gap to see Glass coming. You can see the gap is around 0.4 to half a second thereabouts if you were judging it by eye in between each car. As Glass goes close to the flag mast, doesn't hit it, but will clip the top of the barrier on the landing and will be compounding his misery and that of his teammate, who is way too far down to make anything about this. It will be Azion taking the individual win, and Feed will make it a counter ace for the Tempobros. Azion will clock at a time of a 0.883. Not great, not terrible. Again, start of the map here on China, and that means the slate has been wiped clean and the gap has been leveled back down to just nil.
But Thomas, I would say that this is a pretty good time at 0.8 because he didn't go for the bug set at the start, and you just lose some time due to that, right? So it would be like a 0.5 translate if he had done a good bug slide, so 0.8 is certainly a good time. I think Pack drove a 0.3 or even a 0.2 on this map with a bug slide, but again, you say it, the life cycle of this particular map, or of this whole map pack. I mean, players have been extensively playing this in the Elite Cup at DreamHack Birmingham, now in this event as well, during, discovering the campaign. So this map has been out there for quite a bit and players have so many hours on them, but that was exactly the answer that Tempobros was in need of after getting ace in the first round. Now they found the counter ace, but also in this round it's not looking too bad for them since Azion is on third position, getting overtaken by Snow just beforehand, but having good speed into this sector here. Feed is still holding on to first position. As he lost like just 100th of a second. I thought that he's a bit slower, but Snow wants to deny the ace here to Tempobros, but it's certainly a victory that is going to happen. Azion with a great turnaround there, but it's not enough to overtake Snow in the end. So it's at least 1 point for BS Plus, but Tempobros going into the lead. It's 4-5 in favor for the red team.
Yeah, the red team completely turning the tide around in the space of the second and third rounds here on China. And yeah, as we've been mentioning, these maps have been in the running for quite a while. It's going to be 3 months since these maps have been released. Once we reached April 26th, I was going to say Avril 26th, but that's a different saying altogether. That's me. That's my French kind of slipping back in here and there, as we did see a couple of troubles for Feed in that particular bug slide section. It will be Glass taking advantage of that to move into the lead, and Azion also finding himself a little bit by the wayside, and that will be giving free rein for the Zebras of BS Plus to sprint away in front.
But again, so the round has been decided already from the start. Snow and Glass now with a commanding lead. Feed and Azion both with mistakes. Now Feed touching the wall there again. And the miracle has to happen to not let BS Plus get that ace here. But the identity still coming up was already used on a map called Bicycle back in the days, where we still had lab versions in the Trackmania Grand League. But this looks very much controlled. Snow with a lot of speed there into the sector, having to readjust a bit here. But both are taking it safe. Oh, even though Glass went a bit over the Snow there by the looks of it. And that is a clean win here. 106.047, not the fastest time, 1 second away from the world record. But most importantly, Thomas, the ace, 7-5.
Yes, 7-5 for BS Plus, who are very much playing the consistency game right here on this opening pick of theirs. As we go into the first map point attempt for both Glass and Snow, who gets the best bug slide. It will be Snow who gets it best this time around, and Glass that kind of stopped in the midway of the bug slide there, as he got a bit of a slowdown midway through, and also with a slowdown is Azion just before the drop down of checkpoint 3. So Glass will be promoted up to third place just like that, and it will be Snow versus Feed for the lead.
Yeah, huge round here for BS Plus due to that mistake from Azion. Glass got a poor bug slide, was way too wide, but back-to-back mistake here from BS Plus, both clipping on the inside there. So this leaves up Tempobros for a beautiful opportunity. Like a victory would have already been the nail to the coffin here for Tempobros, but now they're ahead. But no, they're not. Azion also with a mistake. He's 6 seconds behind, so BS Plus can call themselves lucky that Azion has made that mistake, and it will only be a draw in this round here. As you can see, Azion 6 seconds behind. It could have been so much more for both of those teams, but at the end, it's only a draw, which is heavily advantageous to BS Plus because now they only need a victory. But keep in mind, both players going for the bug side at the start.
Both players going for the buck slide at the start, and a tale of two buck slides, essentially. We saw Snow getting the buck slide perfectly, and even getting a good exit to capitalize on the speed he accumulated, but Glass kind of losing the grip midway through the buck slide, and thus having his car come to a complete stop, as we're going to be seeing the two BS Plus players attempt the buck slide again, and both get it clean, and get a good landing as well, and this is what enables them to pull away by 2/10 from the nearest Tempobros competitor. In this case, it will be Feed, as Azion had some trials and tribulations at the start as well. Both of the BS Plus players are going to go side by side. The ice line went a bit high for Snow. Manages to make it work somehow, though. He doesn't go too low on the convex platform. Feed goes a bit lower than Snow, though, carrying a bit more speed on the way through, so it's still going to be an open battle to try and salvage one individual point, upholding the individual honor for Tempobros, but a brief grazing of the wall from Feed will relegate him back down to 4th. The Land King, as we used to call him a few years ago, by virtue of winning Gamers Assembly, the F-Ray Trackmania Cup, and Trackadia, is down in the doldrums and down in last place, 1.4 seconds down compared to Glass, who is going to be ensuring, along with his teammates, another ace in the books and making sure that their map pick will go their way on an 11-6 scoreline, and with a fairly more representative time as well from Glass at 0.580 versus a 0.750 for Snow.
But it already makes sense that BS Plus picks this map first, you know. All of the members coming from a Zerator-esque background, and even in the Trackmania Challenger League back in the days, you know, they have really like those kind of maps where you had to have like certain tricks up your sleeves, and I think this one could also be a good map for BS Plus. So they're leading. Tempobros picked this map as their first one in the rotation. They were picking as second, and also the third map will be from Tempobros, if my memory serves me correct, and then map 4 will be Greece, which was picked by BS Plus. So here we go, small warm-up before we're gonna start. But I think, Geek, like this map is again a good pick for BS Plus.
It's a good pick for Tempobros this time around, because VS Plus did lose their first matchup against Onyx on a 10-6 score. I'm desperately scrolling through ECM trying to find a match with Tempobros where this map was being played. I'm just going to try to pick the Ragnarok match as an example, but Brazil, we've seen it time and time again. Even just today, it has been a map which has delivered in spades in terms of drama towards the final part of the track, especially that last couple of hairpins in the lighter section. And Brazil, well, Tempobros did lose that map against Ragnarok on a 9-10 score, but they did score an ace, and in terms of the pace, well, 104.3, 104.1, especially from Feed and Azion, both can get it to the low point ones, 0.128 for Feed, 0.122 for Azion, so Tempobros are going to be looking to make the most out of that particular map pick of theirs as it gets underway right now.
But Glass also with a very good PB here, 104.005. That is a very respectable time, but he falls behind the pack here, and now important to hold gear 4, go very tight. You don't want to readjust in the loop here. You want to just angle your car nicely beforehand, and every player gets it nicely here. Just Glass with a little bit of a slowdown is 0.3 behind, but yeah, you were alluding to it already. Feed and Azion with a great start here on their first pick, as Snow is falling a bit further behind, and it could be the ace. But I really have to say, it's a very chaotic match here when it comes to rounds. A lot of mistakes, a lot of shuffling around in the positions, and now we see the first major mistake happening to Snow, who has been brushing the wall there and is down the line here by 1.2 seconds. Feed and Azion still having to kill the last water glider, but it's looking good to just start off this map with an ace, as they can take it calm and collected, not catching any of the water, because you're gliding over it, you'd avoid water tires with that. And here we go, PB for Azion as well, 104.10, that's a great time, and the ace to top it all off. Tempobros in the lead.
Yeah, Azion right out of the gates improving his previous personal best by 0.02 of a second, and now you could have heard me go a little bit whoop at one point during the glider, because whilst you did say Feed was trying to keep out of the water, well, it was looking a bit close to have the right side wheels skim the water and have the unfortunate zoom that has befallen many players before here on Brazil. Snow forced to respawn. This is already one big disadvantage that BS Plus has to actually deal with here on this second round of Brazil. It will be Glass going toe-to-toe with Azion. Oh, Feed trying to go full inside on that jump into checkpoint 6 will clip the top of the rock and come to a standstill as a result of this. Before the first glider part, it will be down to his teammate Azion, who looks to be very much firing on all cylinders. If round 1 is anything to go by here on this map, start of Sector 3, he's got a half a second gap to work with here compared to Glass. I wonder if he's going to be lifting a little bit off the throttle going into that final glider section and allow himself a little bit of respite given how much gap has been built up, or if he's going to choose to stand on it and try to get it to the .0s, maybe even into the 103s. We'll have to wait and see what the stopwatch says, which will be coming up just after this hairpin. Azion will take the individual round win. It will be a .392. I was right in judging that he might be lifting a little bit off the throttle. He will finish ahead of Glass by 3.5 tenths. Feed will conclude the round in third and allow Tempobros to get another victory and widen the gap to 4 points.
Yeah, great victory there for Tempobros. BS Plus also now on the board, but they need to make something happen. Glass was severely struggling here at the start, where he was not finding a great line, but now he gets a very good start, finding himself in the lead. But we have Snow a bit further behind, but opting for a different line. I think he lost the gear there, so you can really see how much time you really lose by that if you just eat the gear, because your car is just constantly steering since it's still affected by the water, and it's very unresponsive there, like some matches on Tinder, as one could say. But Feed and Azion here are finding themselves in a battle with Glass. Glass with a great line, as he cannot really catch up to Feed and Azion, who had a very good, great drift there as well. Good amount of speed into the last plastic part of this map, and Glass is really trying to push it here, but I don't think it will be enough. He needs a great ending to overtake one of the Tempobros members here. Very wide line from Feed, and Glass not getting watery tires after that small brush on the wall there, but he's too far behind to have a saying. Feed and Azion with another ace.
And another PB in the space of 3 rounds for Azion. This one a bit more marginal, 4 milliseconds just, but dipping into the .0s, a .098. I have a feeling we might even see a 103 from this guy by the time we are finished with this map. It could very well be in this round as well, as we are on map point attempt number 1 for the red side here on this 4th round of Brazil. We could be seeing a 4-round deal, which we haven't seen in quite some time actually, when you consider all of the action that we saw today here on Overdrive, as we get a great exit on the loop from Feed, which will be going toe-to-toe with Snow at the end of sector number 1 for the lead. Glass in 3rd place. It will be Azion this time, a little bit in the back seat, around 3 tenths down compared to his teammate, who's now going side by side. Oh. And Glass gets the unfortunate zoom. He had his left side wheels dip into the water, and that's all she wrote for the man from BS Plus. It's all down to Snow now to try and prevent Feed from winning this round if he wants to keep the dream alive and extract one more round here on Brazil. But it looks as though that scenario might not even be on the cards at all before we even reach the second glider, because Feed takes advantage of a slow entry to sector number 3 from Snow to pull the gap up to a 1/10.5 of a second. And we even have Azion, who's in the wars, waiting to pounce, waiting to take advantage of any mistake that happens on the part of Snow. And he's also got a great ending to boot, maybe willing to make the attack happen on its own without any mistake from the man from BS Plus. It won't be no such thing, but Feed with a PB as well, .094, both of the teammates from Tempobros in sync within 4 milliseconds of each other in terms of personal best on this map. And as expected, as kind of awaited given the dynamic of this map early on, it is a 4-round deal concluded and a 10-2 score for Tempobros, who leveled the playing field.
Yeah, great performance there from Feed and Azion. I really have to stress that one on this particular map. Good times as well. It looked so much control there from Feed as well in the end by just opting for that wide approach. And now we go to map number 3, which is USA. Good map as well. Vantaneo coming into play, some Neo slides, and Feed and Azion really picking up the pace here. It will be hard to beat them here as well, I would assume that, but we're gonna find that out. Second pick for Tempobros, and I think we have a great match in our hands. Good to see the scoreboard is getting equalized as well. But I do think like BS Plus really have to get out of the mud, because they got like 10-2. That is such a mental advantage for Tempobros on this particular, going into this particular map, because it's also their pick.
Yep. And also, it's a very significant advantage in terms of momentum going their way, but also, they picked this map for a reason. Just taking, again, a look at the times from that they posted against the Ragnarok boys, they won this map 10-2, Tempobros. And just to give you an idea, okay, 103.135 Azion, 103.066 Azion. Feed was on the 103.8. He wasn't able to really be a force to be reckoned with, but Azion, again, 0.819 to the final round, then 2 rounds earlier than that he did a 0.709, and round 4, 0.606. That is his current personal best, and he's looking very, very stout. Of course, in terms of personal best as well, the BS Plus guys might have a little bit of a road to challenge him with a 0.646 for Glass and a 0.636 for Snow, but Azion doing that in match, that is just incredible.
But Thomas, it was the same on Brazil. BS Plus had great PBs on there as well, but they just couldn't get them across. So Tempobros just shining through with consistency. But yeah, a point 6. That is a very fast time here on this particular map. Probably even enough to win some of those rounds at DreamHack Birmingham. But Feed with a mistake here, he's behind, and that is a great starter for Snow and Glass, finding themselves in the lead. Azion is now the person who is behind. No one going for the airtime reduction there. It's a different line that they can choose. It's probably like 500s faster if you do it correct. And now we go into the dirt flick. But Azion gets it very nicely. Glass with a mistake. It is Azion versus Snow here for that first position. It will be very important. It is Glass also falling down to last place with that, but Azion with a small readjustment falling further behind. It is 0.2 between them, and Snow just has to survive the ending. There was a very close drift, but Snow makes it, and Feed also overtakes his teammate. Not really consequential for the standing at all at the end of the round. It will still be a draw, and Glass, 2 seconds behind after that. It could have been much more. He was still in close proximity, but we start off things with a draw, even though it looked like a BS Plus ace at the start.
Yeah, it did look like a BS Plus ace at the start, but as you said, Glassed with that hit of the breeze block at the exit of the dirt flick was forced to rely on Snow, and himself relied on the mistake from Azion, who, just was forced to readjust in that double right-hander before the identity, as you rightfully pointed out. He would eventually make his way through, but with a couple of clips along the side as well, allowing his teammate to move up into second and virtually guarantee the draw regardless, as Snow this time will be left by the wayside. No particular mistakes, just a somewhat heavy-set landing on the quarter pipe, and we try to go for the low jump for Glass. Does save it, but we'll be losing 3.5 tenths right there and then. Azion not with the best of setups for the dirt flick, and that is almost immediately visible on the exit as his falls foul of that same breeze block that Glass fell foul of in the previous round. And this time, the positions are reversed. It will be BS Plus in second and third, and the Tempobros in first and fourth, with Feed currently sitting in the lead, 3.5 tenths ahead of the nearest BS Plus player. Can he parlay that into an individual win? The answer is a yes, with a time of a 103.109, which could have been very much thrown into the bin, because you saw that slight side-to-side slide on the plastic, which led to the left rear clipping the side of the scaffolding, and that could have turned very sour very quickly for the red side.
Yeah, glad he got across the line there without clipping the scaffolding there on the outside. So good to see that. But it really seems like both teams cannot really get the ace across the board. It was always something that is just obscuring them in their regard, because Azion with a very aggressive line there on the inside didn't have any angle to work with, and also Snow now in this round hesitating to find a good drift, but still gets it across. I thought that he would lose more time, but he falls a bit further down the line, like 1 to 2 car lengths. Azion, not with the best of starts, is 0.3 behind, but Feed has him covered. He's in the battle against Glass and Snow. Feed with the inside line will have no angle to work with here. Will it be enough to survive that part? Yes, it is, but he has to oversteer massively there, so Glass and Snow will have a bit more speed in this sector. It will all come down to the ending. Azion also bouncing back, but look how close of a round this is. This is very important for the development of the match. Feed is in first, but he clips there, so Glass will take the lead. Azion not too far behind as well, but who's going to win this round? It will be Glass, barely staying ahead, but it will be another draw because Feed snipes Snow in the ending. But again, so close. This was on knife's edge yet again, Geek.
Yeah, and the gaps of 3 tenths between first and last aren't really valid if you just take a look at it at first glance. You have to look at the entirety of the round. Before the identity, everybody was regrouped within each other's goals pretty much, which is announcer talk for less than a tenth between first and fourth, which is extremely contested here on this third round of USA that was just played. Now we are on to round number 4, and I said it before in the chat during one of the matches, but welcome back Freestyle. This is the progression that I'm familiar with in terms of 2v2 early on in the game mode's life cycle. It will be Glass leading at the end of sector number 1 with Feed in tow. Snow and Azion battling for third place. Nobody trying to go for the very low jump, except maybe for Glass with a supreme jump into that right-hander after checkpoint number 6, who gets the best dirt flick. Ooh, Azion barely getting away without hitting the breeze block somehow, but that kind of opened up his lane too much, compromised it, and thus allowing Glass and Feed to kind of pull away in the lead. He's still going to be in the wars with Snow, though, trying to retain that third place and trying to enforce the 4th consecutive draw here on USA, but it can all come unstuck here in this little crest. Feed versus Glass, and oh no, what is that? No way! Azion just got hit by a Banks or an Epos or whatever it is you want to call it, hits the finish gate post, doesn't hit the trigger. Ouch.
It looked so funny, both cars limping in front of the finish line, trying to climb that obstacle, making it into the finish. But it is BS Plus getting the victory here, so it will not be the 4th consecutive draw in a row. It is a victory in favor for BS Plus, and now Feed with a mistake. That is very important for BS Plus, because now they can maybe get an ace or at least a victory, because Asion has a supreme start in this round. He's 0.2 ahead of its opponents. He's on a great time, but let's just see how this one is developing. Asion looked very strong here, but has made some mistakes in the past, setting up nicely. Maybe is a bit too far inside. Will it be enough? Yes, it is. Losing a bit of time, but still quite far ahead of Glass and Snow, who hand in hand go into checkpoint number 9 as we approach the ending. Asion having a great lead, and I think that could be a 102 from Asion here, but he saves there a little bit, gets the slide nicely. Good approach there, saves it a bit. He lost 0.1 there, and it's enough here. 102.7. Wow, he even lost some time there with one of the slides, and that is a very, very potent time from Asion, and it's another draw. What a close map that is.
Yeah, there's the Asion that we've seen on the Ragnarok vs Tempobros matchup a little bit earlier on during the weekend. This is the Asion that I was expecting to see. It took a bit of time to pop up, but maybe this could be coming in just in the nick of time for Tempobros to try and get their second back-to-back map win here in this best-of-5 series. Going into this 5th or 6th round, rather. The 5th round was played just a little bit beforehand, and it will be a great start for everybody involved. At the end of sector number 1, it will be a 10.5 between first and last, with Snow leading that pack.
Yeah, very, very good round here. Again, no one really crashing at the start. It's just some small mistakes there in terms of realignments and all of that, but here we only have 500ths of a second between them. Asion having to readjust a lot on the ice, and he now clips. He will be falling behind, and he's out of the equation, but there's Snow and Glass now attacking Feet. They want to find that ace. They want to win this map, but Snow now with a mistake, so this could be the victory if Asion can capitalize on that mistake, but the answer is a no here. But we have 2 individual fights brewing right now. Feet looks to be the leader. Asion goes for the attack on the inside. Is it enough? No, it is not enough. I thought that he could hit the finish gate somehow, but that is not the case. It is a victory because Feed also got overtaken by Glass.
Yeah, Feed got overtaken by Glass, and technically Asion did hit the finish gate, but like many other players before him, he hit the gate post and did not have the car rotating when he hit the gate post, so he did not hit the trigger with his front right. So forced to respawn, and that was it for Asion, and that will be putting BS Plus in a very comfortable position to try and upset Tempobros here by snatching their second map pick away from their hands. As we now go into the next round, it will be Asion leading at the end of sector number 1, and a very heavy set landing for Feed there on the dirt before checkpoint number 5, so it will be down to Asion to try to anchor the fort and enforce a draw to keep the dream alive for one more round. Right now, he's currently sitting pretty with a 10.5 of a gap. Does he have enough angle to work with? That's a dirt flick. The answer is a yes. He exits very handily. And Roker's back in there as well. It's looking like Feed is also looking back to be in the wars for second place, and indeed looks to be on a good time right now. Asion could be a low 0.7, maybe even a mid 0.6. We're going to have to wait and see. Could we even see a 0.5 from the man from Tempobros? We're going to have to see what the stopwatch says just after the plastic. It is a 0.9, and Feed will miss the gate outright, and just like Asion before him in the previous round, will hit the gate post but not get the trigger. It is 9-7 for BS Plus, and it is once again ace or bust for the red side.
Yeah, and we have not seen an ace here on this map all along. It's such a contested map here for both teams. I think this is round number 8 even, so it's so close between them, as Glass and Snow now finding themselves with a great start alongside Asion. Feed dropping down the line, doesn't get a good landing there. Will he make that jump? Yes, he does. But it's ace or bust, so unless one of the or if some of the BS Plus members here get at least second place, this map is over and they win it here. But it has been so close. It could be anyone's game here up until this point, but Feed really has to push it. He's 0.2 behind. Snow and Glass with a great line. Now the dirt flick comes into play. Feed with a very aggressive inside line. Is he able to get it through? Yes, it is. Yes, he is. And Glass is out, but also Feed now with a good exit there from the dirt flick, and that is exactly what BS Plus is in need of here. They only need to find 1 point here. Snow just has to survive it, and they will again go into the lead. It's looking good for Snow, making the slide across. Now only one part to do, and Snow will make it here, but what a close map that was. It is 10-9 in the end, and I think that also tells the whole story It is 1 victory in the end for Tempobros and 2 for BS Plus, and the rest were draws.
Yeah, and that's 1 point loss for Tempobros might be coming back to haunt them. It's definitely going to become a thorn in the side of Feed and Azion here in this very moment as we circle back to a BS Plus pick. It is going to be Greece, a map that has been providing, just like Brazil, in terms of the entertainment value and also in terms of the amount of intense action that can unfold in just a confined section of the track. Just that staircase and just the bit before it can prove to be an absolute round breaker and mental breaker as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this map has everything. It has an ice side, it has a NASCAR part even, and just giving you a glimpse of taste there with a staircase in the middle of it, just after the ice slide. We're gonna see that one right here. It's just a nice map, the longest map in the map pack. Apos has the world record with a 1:13.050, so good time there. Maybe we're gonna see a 1:12 here at some point. That would be very cool to see, but I doubt that this will be happening in Division 2. Maybe Granadi is going to do that, because if you guys remember at DreamHack Birmingham, Granadi had incredible endings here. It was just so good to watch. He gained so much time, but it's just a very fun map to follow.
Yeah, it's and as we said many times before, it is very much an old school feeling map in terms of the build. Almost feels like it was a design, and that was eventually confirmed. It was initially kind of like conceived as like a 6-lapper, even though it is a brand new design for 2026. The way that the finish line and the start line are kind of related in terms of positioning to each other would kind of make it feel like a TMGL Final Circuit 2020 map, where the 6-lapper is edited and the points and the multi-lap is replaced with a start and finish block that have been completely separated. It is very much an oddity compared to the rest of the maps, which are modern interpretations of maps that have been used in competitive maps and not bespoke made like here. As we go on to map number 4, round number 1 is underway, and it will be Snow and Glass exiting the first 5 checkpoints in the lead.
Yeah, very good start there from Snow and Glass. They're batting a...
As we seem to have lost Turbo in a little bit.
With Azion, I hope you're cat right now. Yeah.
Okay, so there you go. You're
Hello,
back.
yeah. My internet having some pickups, but thanks for taking it over for a couple of seconds as it was going full beep boom mode there for a second. But Glass and Snow here, very, very good approach in this sector. And can they make it across? They come from a Zerator background. They know how to control their car. Nosedive, very important here. You can lose a lot of time there. Azion catching up. Glass and Snow having it very nicely though. Will it be the ace here? We haven't seen an ace in so long in this match. And I think the answer is a yes, unless Azion gets a good nosedive, but it's not enough. But what a close round that is. 700s between first and third there. Feed is 0.4 away, and BS Plus with a beautiful start, and they can close out this match if they win it.
Imagine driving a .710 and not even being in the running for second place. That's how closely contested that ending was here, as we do see a full stop pick. That's a rare one here on Greece from Azion, leaving Feed all to his own devices to try and stem the tide and stem the flow of points going the way of Team BS Plus. He will not be able to stem it completely and completely stop it. He will be able to salvage at least a point from the situation at the worst of cases if he's able to reach second place. But of course, the most ideal scenario in light of circumstances would be to actually get the first place and thus enforce the draw to allow that 3-point deficit to remain intact, but doesn't get the best of landings in that final part of the first staircase, allowing Glass to continue piling on the pressure on the 3-time land champion of 2022. As we go onto the NASCAR turn, double left-hander, Glass with a bit more speed, lifts a little bit less compared to Feed, but this time he will be heading towards the wall. In checkpoint 11, Azion is too far to take advantage of this, but Feed is going to breathe a sigh of relief, but he cannot find any inroads into the gap that has been somewhat opened by Snow early on during the round. He will have to pray for a big clip for the man from BS Plus in front to actually catch back in the identity. He's starting to catch back up. Is it too little too late? Unfortunately for him, the answer is a yes. Snow will validate the individual victory, and the overall victory will be validated with Glass third place with a 113.823 going the way of Snow, 5-1.
Yeah, that is a statement here from BS Plus on this particular map, as they are having a commanding lead. Let's see if they can make it across the board. Snow and Glass looking very good on this map. Of course, a couple of mistakes happened here and there, but I also want to take a look onto the stats, because Glass 30% crashes, 25% top ones, and then we have Snow 15% crashes, 20% top ones. So it really seems like the win rate is going in favor for Tempobros, but in the most important moments, BS Plus is just there to get it away from their opponents, and now Feed with a mistake. Azion as well, and that is now a huge opportunity for BS Plus to go into the lead by 7 points. They just need to save it there. As you can see, it is looking like an ace for them. It's their round to lose. They save it a lot, even though Glass went so close there to the wall, but he did not come into contact with that. 0.7 still is the gap. It's their round to lose, and I think then they can close out this match easily because they play just so consistent on here in the first 2 rounds. One mistake has happened so far, but especially round 1 looked so good. Staircase coming into play. Glass and Snow having it very much controlled, and they will get the ace, even though Slow almost slowed down and almost went into the hole. It's still enough to get across, and it's the ace for BS Plus. It's really their match to lose now.
Yeah, it really is BS Plus's match to lose, and in the meantime, I'm seeing a little bit of a game in chat that has popped up. I think this is a game that you will want to continue throughout the end of this match and throughout the breaks, because this is getting very entertaining. Posting the names of Trackmania players that start with the last letter of the last player that has been posted. It started off with Algeria, we were on an R and S chain. It's a very fun game to play. Make sure to play along as well in the chat. In the meantime, first match point attempt here for BS Plus going through checkpoint 4. Who gets the best ice slide? It will likely be Snow with a great amount of speed. Feed went a bit too high on that ice slide, compromises his line a little bit. It will still be Tempobros in the lead though, first and second, looking to try and fight back and force this issue onto game number 5, but they got a long road ahead of them with the potential to try and go back-to-back aces in order to wipe the slate clean once again. Through the NASCAR turn we go. Osman forced to lift a little bit more compared to Feed. It will still be the 2 Tempobro players side by side as we go into checkpoint 11. Can Glass try to lead the charge and try to mount an attack, trying to go for the throat for this round against the Tempobros? Feed continuing to hold the fort, continuing to be a proverbial wall, but here comes Glass maybe on the identity with a bit more speed compared to the Tempobro players. He goes a bit too wide and clips very heavily, and this is going to be a big sigh for Tempobros, who get the first ace here on Greece. 1 down, 2 to go to turn the tide around.
Yeah, what a great round there from Feed and Azion. A 0.6 as well. That's exactly what they were in need of. Glass really pushing there as well as Snow, but it wasn't meant to be for them in this round. It's still match point though. Tempobros still having to clear a gap of 4 points, and even a victory for Tempobros would be huge for BS Plus, because then they're only in need of 1 more point. So they need to find an ace here, the red team, else it will be over very quickly. And let's go into this round here. 8-4 is the scoreline. Feed with a good eyesight approach. Can he nail the exit as well? The answer is a yes, but Snow is in there as well, having a bit more speed. Glass here in 3rd position, battle with Azion, having a nice line over in that sector as well, but doesn't get a good landing here. So he's getting demoted to last position there, as Azion had a very good staircase section there, and also Snow losing control there. He's still up into that 2nd position, and I cannot stress it enough. Even a 2nd place will be huge for BS Plus. Can they get it across the board here? Because Azion is really trying his best to push it, but now comes the ending. The outside dirt line. Snow does not come into contact with that. He was pushing so much. He wants to deny some points to Tempobros here. If he gets that 1st position, it will only be 1 point instead of 2 in favor for Tempobros. And also we see a mistake from Azion. It could be over if Snow gets the victory here, and the answer is a yes. What a great performance from Snow and Glass on Greece, closing it out after losing 10-2 on Brazil. This was a great showing from BS Plus. GG's to Glass and Snow.